All right, welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show. I'm Onebar with Lupagus. Justin, as always, from the Purple Persuasion, joining the show, talking latest Vikings news and nuggets. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Justin, happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day to your guys' wives, too.
Really nice.
And happy Mother's Day to any mother out there watching right now. Hell yeah, it's that time. You know, it's slowing down a little bit, but there's still plenty of Vikings nuggets to talk about. We collected a few over the week that you guys would keep on posting. So thank you for keeping us updated throughout the week on any Vikings tidbit that comes out there.
No problem. It's our pleasure.
Hell yes. Let's start with this one from Ben Gosling. He says, cornerbacks Brian Murphy and Shaq Griffin are in the driver's seats as starters, but he says Blackman and Evans will have to fight for their jobs in camp. To me, what's interesting here is to put Blackman in the same boat as Evans because we're kind of on the same page that me and Onebar that, you know, Evans is fighting to make the team.
I think so, too. I think that whole 2022 draft class was fighting. I mean, Charlie Walters put out a nice little piece today that got everybody riled up about Lewis Seen and Andrew Booth Jr., but I think they're all in the same boat there with them. I think it's going to be a battle, especially on the outside. I do think Shaq Griffin and Byron Murphy are the automatic starters. I think Murphy in the slot specifically. Griffin's pretty good at man coverage. I know that's what Flores wants to shift to. So I think he's a lock to be a starter and some veteran presence there. And I mean, it was shown last year. I mean, they were yanking Evans, Blackman. They all got benched at some point during the season. I know injuries and stuff kind of piled up towards the end there and who knows what, but Evans struggles pretty bad in man coverage. I like Blackman a little bit better than Evans. So I'm kind of curious to see why. I don't know why he pat Evans over Blackman, but I don't know. I think Kyrie Jackson may end up winning the job anyways, too. So yes. I think they're all definitely going to be a nice competition in camp coming up here in a couple months. So yeah, we'll see.
Cornerbacks getting nice and thick there. I like. I mean, what is it? The 2022 class. Could we be looking at Nick Muse and Ty Chandler? Is that the same class? Like the only dudes that are left from this thing?
Well, don't forget Ingram. You can't forget
Ingram's still around. They had a lot of picks. I mean, a couple of them are not even on the roster anymore. And I know Lewis Seen, he might just make it because he's like a first-round draft pick and he's still owed like $4 million. So they're gonna be. I don't know if they cut him. I think they might still have to pay him that, or maybe they don't. I don't know all the finance side of everything, but. I do think Evans, Blackman, one of them they're on the cusp of probably not making it. I think, but that safety depth is so good right now too. I mean, with Bynum of the resurgence, Smith and Metellus, and they played a lot more of what was that guy's? The other guys,
Theo Jackson and
Theo Jackson. Yeah, he was getting a lot more reps and Seen wasn't. Yeah. So he's on thin ice, but you know he's a first round pick, so maybe they just hold on one more year and see what happens with Smith next year after this one, and we'll see what happens.
Well, speaking of first-round picks, Mike Tannenbaum has Dallas Turner as the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. You think he's going to get enough snaps to do that? Do you think he'll be that big of a part of the defense this week?
I actually was pretty shocked at that too. Latu Ateo, like he was just behind. I think he was like plus. I think Turner was plus 400, and I think Latua was like plus 600 or something like that. So he's not too far off, and I think he's an automatic starter. And I don't know if Turner's going to get a lot of reps early. At least I don't know if he's going to be like a full 3-down player. You know, Grenard and Van Ginkel, I think, are going to be your week one. Maybe, you know, he picks that up later on in the year. But, you know, even the books say he's the favorite too. And, you know, a lot of, you know, draft analysis and everything going into the drafts that he was the top edge on the board for teams that they thought he'd go to Atlanta. And most people are pretty shocked that he slid that far. And he's got some things he needs to work on from what Flores was saying. But, you know, if they can get that worked out in this offseason and training camp and things like that, he could go on a little tear there. He's got some elite bursts. He's got some good moves. His footwork's a little bit could use refining, but I think that's something that could easily be fixed pretty soon in a quick amount of time. So I'm rooting for it and put a little money on it too. You know, plus 400, why not?
8.5 sacks. He's going to have 8.5 sacks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he might. And Latua has got some injury bugs with him, so he might even play a whole season. So
some injury bugs.
He's got a lot of injury bugs. And Turner's been mostly healthy through his entire collegiate career. Played for Alabama, and hopefully he's not worn out for playing. Usually that's kind of a stigma with Bama players and Saban and all them. So hopefully he's got a lot of juice in the tank.
3-man rotation to work into. So
yeah, the depth is better than people think. So it's going to be fun.
All right, Alec Lewis on the Justin Jefferson contract this week, talking $34 million a year. But then later he says that there could be a storm cloud brewing if nothing happens. What the hell does that mean?
I think he's just referring to like the Vikings need to get this deal done. I mean, there were some rumors that it was already done, like during the draft, and then Kwesi kind of had that comment saying something along the lines of, we want this essentially like Justin Jefferson needs his own time to be the one on shining through all this. I know right now it's JJ McCarthy, Dallas Turner, everybody's focused on that. And I think maybe they're just waiting for this to die down a little bit, announce it like early June or something like that. And then JJ's get the whole, I got to stop saying JJ because now there's two of them. But Jefferson is Jets now, I guess that's what he wants to be called. But Jets, I think he wants this, maybe get a whole week to himself, all the spotlight because he deserves it. He's going to get over, I think AJ Brown makes 32 now. So I think 34 is probably a realistic number. But yeah, if we get close to training camp and there's nothing, I think Lewis was referring to just it's going to be the biggest talker now that we've gotten our quarterback with the draft's over. This is the number one most discussed topic of Justin Jefferson, and he's going to set records with what he's going to make and possibly surpass Bosa for the number one, not even receiver, but he's going to be the top paid receiver, but he could be and will be probably the most paid non-quarterback in the league. So there's a lot of drama there too. He's not one to. I think Lewis said something like before he's wrote that he's like, I don't like writing this kind of stuff, but there is a storm cloud brewing. It's in the horizon, but it could go away. It could dissipate, but if it keeps coming, and it's going to not look pretty. So hopefully they get a deal done before camp.
Give them the money, give them a parade, do it all.
Everything exactly. That's what I think too.
I want to get your take on this whole comp pick situation that came out with the signing of Shaq Griffin. Vikings, there comes out saying they lost a pick, they played it wrong, and then Ben Gosling comes on and says they never expected to get a pick. But I never heard if that expectation was right, like they were right expecting that. I mean, what's the final say on this, or is this still kind of?
No, I think so. Gosling, I think on Kate. So I don't remember who it was. Some guy from PFF or something like that, or no, not PFF. It was Over the Cap. One of the guys, he's really good and he's pretty accurate with piecing everything to board and they canceled out. But he wrote a little blurb saying that the Vikings made a huge mistake with signing Griffin because that just over $4 million actually ended up canceling out the second round comp. But then Gosling picked up on it the next day and was on Paul Allen's show, and he was saying that he spoke to an inside source from the Vikings saying that that's not the case, that they didn't make some stupid decision that let's sign Griffin and let's lose a third round pick. It's not that black and white. And I think what he was saying was that didn't just cause it. It's not that simple. Sign that player, we lose a pick. There's a lot more to it. And then he later clarified, I think in a tweet, the day after this or earlier this week, he said, essentially the Vikings were aware that they were only going to get one comp. It wasn't just Shaq Griffin's signing. So I think the Vikings were well aware that they were comfortable with just one comp picks. I think that debate's dead, that it's the Kirk Cousins is the comp, so it'll be the highest third round pick of the comps. It'd still be towards the end and almost like a fourth round pick essentially, but it's the number one of all the teams that get a third round pick after they've all drafted their players in the corresponding order. So I think I think they're aware of it overall, and I don't think the Griffin thing had anything to deal with losing a pick.
Yeah, when that came out, I was feeling much better. I was so damn ornery.
You were
when I saw that, and basically they're saying, shut the hell up. We're not
that morons. Stupid. Yeah, we're not.
It maybe had it was already gone. So that would have been real bad for Kwesi if that was.
Oh, that would have been real bad. And I don't think it's that easy just to sign a player. It's gone now. There's a lot more nuances. A lot of these contracts are structured in a way. It's actually how much money are they really even getting? How much is to the cap? And it takes teams. And even over the cap and all them, to get wind of the full contract details to really make it fully accurate. But that's about as close as we can get to as fans.
Nice. You guys posted this morning. Charlie Walters talking about Kirk Cousins' situation, the tampering. Vikings have strongly appealed the Falcons' tampering charge in the signing of Kirk Cousins. That's expected to end in arbitration. Are they expecting to get something out of this? Or what's going on?
I don't know. I hear mixed things on this, and it's not going to be a first round swap. I think we can probably throw that out there. But I do think the Vikings, the way that they've structured some of their deals and their signings, and how they were so forgiving of the 2025 future picks. A lot of the seconds and thirds are gone. I think they only have a couple picks next year. So they must be banking on something from the Falcons. I don't think it's going to be a first round swap or something that big, but maybe they do get a second or third from them. And I do think they're pushing back pretty hard on this. And I know Kwesi and the Vikings have been real tight-lipped on it. And even when they do ask him questions on it, Kwesi's he pretty much just brushes it off and does not, I don't want to talk about it or anything like that, which makes me think that they are trying in a way. And the arbitration thing was very interesting because I don't think any of these, exchanges or stuff like that for penalties for tampering have ever gone to that. So I don't know. Charlie Walters, he gets people going and riles up. I like his stuff. Comes out every 2 weeks, and he always is pretty bold. But then he does nail some stuff too. People think he's since the 90s he hasn't been good, but he hit on a couple of the like Kirk numbers and stuff. And yeah, I thought that was an interesting nugget, and I think we'll see. But I do believe the Vikings I think they're hoping for something, and maybe not like a first or second, but I think a third or fourth round picks. And I think they're going to fight tooth and nail to it because it was pretty clear tampering. And I think the Vikings want to be rewarded for it, not just Falcons losing picks and the Vikings don't get anything out of it. So that'll be definitely another talker, and who knows when it gets resolved.
And God knows we could use another pick.
Oh, we could always use more picks.
Shit, I'll take a 6th rounder. I don't care.
Anything. Yeah. We got 4 next year at this point. Let's talk about Cam Akers. He put a video out there of him working out. We talked about Delvin Cook coming back to the team last week. Any chance Cam Akers has a second stint with the Vikings?
Yeah, I think he's actually more of a fit than Cook was. I know we talked about that last week. And, you could probably get him on a vet min deal and, prove it kind of deal, like pretty much nothing, in the grand scheme of things. He did look good. I mean, it is, I think, a second Achilles injury. So he's got one on each leg now. So I don't know how much he's got left in the tank to give. But if a team's going to sign him, it's going to be vet min, or I don't even know if you can get cheaper than that, to be honest. And I think he's got a better chance than Cook. And, if he does sign back, he's probably going to be running back 3. So it just really shows, Jones has he's battled some injuries in the past. And I think they probably could use some more depth. I don't know if Dwayne McBride, the practice squad player that was on the team last year, I don't know how much he's more of a bruising back, doesn't have a lot of speed. He's more of a, if you need a first, a 3rd and 1 or something like that, he might be able to get you that. But I do think Cam Akers, he's a good fit. yeah. But yeah, I like Akers a lot. I think he showed some bursts. To me, he was better than Madison, last year when we were clamoring for him to get out of the starting role there. And I don't know why Kevin O'Connell was so attached to him. But yeah, I would like to see him back on a cheap deal. And, if Jones needs some time off here or there, and I think he complements Ty Chandler pretty well too. So I don't know. We'll see.
Cam Akers, the dude's 24.
Yeah,
he must have came in the league when he was 12. That's crazy that he's still only 24 years old. I mean,
he came in at 20, I think, to the Rams.
24 years old, and I mean the injuries alone have if he can come back, hopefully he's still got some left in the tank. It's too bad. He's like you were saying. He looked good as hell when he was out there.
Yeah, and I think he complements to what Kevin O'Connell wants to do. He can catch the ball. He can block pretty well. He could rip off a burst of runs. He's got some agility and quickness and speed. And I don't know if that's still there with the Achilles injury. And, they usually say when you tear one, your other one's more likely to go because you just compensate so much during the recovery process. We'll see what happens with Kirk too, but it's also a different position. And, you need your Achilles more as a running back than probably a quarterback. But yeah, I'd like to see him back in a cheap little vet min deal or something like that. But I don't even know. He might have too many injuries and no team will take a chance on him anymore. But best wishes for him and his career, I guess, wherever he goes.
I'll take a one-leg Cam Akers over Dwayne McBride. So.
Don't tell that to Mick. He's obsessed with Dwayne McBride. He still thinks it's McBride season.
I had high hopes.
We were very excited for him.
Yeah.
And it just All right. Well, we are excited for JJ McCarthy. Rookie mini camp took place, and I know the throw to the coach is going viral. We missed him from about 6 feet away. Not great, but KLC had great things to say. He said he's doing a great job handling everything. He just enjoys seeing the process as rep-to-rep improvement. He just kind of heaped a ton of praise on him. So I don't know. I started hearing this already. It kind of gives me day one starter vibes. What do you think?
I've already been a proponent of it. We put it out there. I think he should start day. Sam Darnold is probably going to be better than what he has been, but there's a reason he's on his. This is his 4th team now that he's been on. It's like Dobbs too. It's like everybody's like, Dobbs, look at him do this. He's never had the talent when he's on his 8th team. So there's something there. And he's on his 4th team. So he's got a problem, but he's probably going to be better than he has, in Carolina and the Jets. And he only barely, I think he played maybe the week 18 game for the Niners when they were checked out there. And so he didn't really get to see much of his skill set there with some talent actually around him there in San Francisco. But yeah, Kevin O'Connell's probably not going to go on the thing saying he's throwing a lot of picks. His footwork looks bad. And, it is, hyping up the fan base, and you got to keep them hyped because that's what sells. So is it true? probably could it be false? It could be too. We don't see the whole thing. And I did see the viral video. I almost posted it, but then I was like, yeah, I'm not going to put.
You can't do it.
I can't do it. I couldn't do it. I'll let somebody else get the win on that one. But I do think he has a chance, and I think he's very smart. I think he's very talented, and there's some things he's got to have to work on. And O'Connell's offense is very complicated, and they both have said, Kwesi and Kevin have said that they prefer they have a rookie that sits and that can learn, and they don't want to throw him into the fire. But from what I'm perspective, you learn the best when you're in the fire, and you're with the core group of Jefferson, and you got Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. I don't want him seeing throwing to backups and people that probably aren't even going to make the team. So I really do hope he gets a fair chance to throw with those starters and the number ones in training camp, and even OTAs coming up here next week. But he's got to learn the playbooks. I think that's probably and that's not just learning the playbook. It's the check downs. It's 1, 2, 3, all the routes. And, I'm sure Kevin O'Connell doesn't sit there be doing what he did with Dobbs for all those games. The safety's coming over here, the corner's here. This is where all the reads are. I think there needs to be some bigger picture stuff with it. So we'll see. I'm rooting for it. If I had to put a number on it, I do think there's about a 55 to 60% chance that he actually does start week 1, and it's more probable than what maybe they're portraying and what the media and the beat writers are all saying too. So at least I'm holding. Maybe that's my hope, kind of creeping in there. But
do you think, and just knowing JJ McCarthy's background, he handed off in college, this is the tip of the iceberg? Every time he has a bad pass, or we can see clips of this. Is this just going to?
Oh yeah, it's all the whole thing. It's Caleb Williams. It's Jaden Daniels. It's Drake May. I mean, Drake May sounds like he's not doing too good over there, from what I was reading. And their coach said he's got a lot to work on, is what he said. I don't think Kevin O'Connell is saying that. Saying that either. So it's all the good things are going to be way inflated, and all the bad things that he does are all, it's the end of the world for Vikings fans. I mean, maybe not for Vikings fans because we're kind of on cloud 9 still, but come training camp time, when the honeymoon stage kind of is over and we see him in maybe some those preseason games and stuff like that, everything's going to be amplified, high for the highs and super low for the lows. So I think it's got to take everything with a grain of salt and kind of keep a level head on the whole thing.
I love the story where KJ Cloyd, the undrafted free agent, he picked him off and took it to the house. And he said he just pointed at him the whole way. Yeah. Undrafted free agents pointing at the first round quarterback, like, kiss my ass, man.
Yeah, it's probably not something you want to do. And I don't.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
they're going to cut him tonight.
Yeah, but they played a game or something. I think he said they can't have 3. JJ McCarthy said he played a game or a bet with the defense, and the ball couldn't hit the ground more than 3 times, and that he did, and he was sitting there running sprints or whatever. And I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. He's building friendships, and he's shown as like a leader and things like that. So those are small wins, even though he's throwing a pick 6 in practice, and they don't tackle either. So who knows if it really was a pick 6?
Well, then KLC's telling him to be aggressive too. That came out too,
and that's practice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You want to see what you can get away with, what you can't get away with. So do it in practice. Don't do it in games. But and he might be trying different mechanics too. That could be just slightly, he's got to do it 100 times before he gets it where he wants to go. So, this is the time to practice and try different things. And they're definitely working on his mechanics and things like that.
Nice. All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks again, Justin, for hopping on and on this Mother's Day of all things.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And thanks you guys for having me on as always. And we appreciate the support.
Yeah, and I want you to remember this, and all you moms out there remember this too. Crocodiles are fast on their feet, but cannot turn very well. So if one is chasing you, run in zigzag lines.